government takeover called the Green New Deal. But I'd rather not talk about it tonight because I don't want to talk them out of it too soon. Because I love campaigning against the Green New Deal. I want them to make that a big part of their platform. No more airplanes, no more cows. One car per family. One car. Oh, you're going to love that in Michigan. Hey, how do you like the idea of one car per family? I don't think so. That's right.
As we say, President Trump launches this Michigan campaign, really his 2020 reelection campaign, off the basis of the Mueller report. And that just shows you how polarized our politics are, because usually the president launches his reelection campaign on the basis of, here are all the great things that I've done. Instead, the president launches his triumphant reelection campaign on the basis of, I'm not a Russian agent. So the goalposts have moved pretty radically here, and the Democrats are the ones who move them. Here's where President Trump, however, could be really effective, and that is attacking the Democratic agenda, because the Democratic agenda truly is radical, and most people understand that. He has two lines of attack here that are really useful. One is attacking the media, because people hate the media. People think the media are dishonest. Why? Well, because many in the media are, in fact, dishonest, whether they mean to be or whether they do not mean to be. Their confirmation bias makes it so that they cover the news in the least favorable way to conservatives that they can possibly find. And that obviously holds true for anyone who is even remotely right of center, including President Trump, who I don't think is actually an ideological conservative. So when Trump goes after the media, that's going to be a popular line with most Americans. Here's Trump saying the media have to be held accountable.
They have to be, I'm sorry, they have to be accountable.
And he is not wrong about that. That line was popular going all the way back to Newt Gingrich in 2012 when he was running for the nomination for the Republican Party. It continues to be popular today. Nobody thinks the media have done a good job on any of this stuff. So that is a fruitful line of attack for President Trump. Casting aspersions at the media that have attacked him incessantly, that attacked Bush incessantly, that attack everybody right of center incessantly, and people who are not even right of center, so long as they disagree. That will continue to be a fruitful line of attack. But he's really going to have to win on the basis of pointing at the Democrats. As I have said all along, if President Trump were capable of just being quiet and pointing, right, like Donald Sutherland in that famous GIF, right, if he could just stand there, like Donald Sutherland from Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and point in horror at the Democrats, most Americans would immediately recoil in revulsion at what they saw. Because the fact is the Democratic agenda is extraordinarily radical. And when President Trump went after it last night, that's when he was, in fact, at his best. So here is the President of the United States talking about Democrats and taxes.
Radical Democrats are the party of high taxes, open borders, late-term abortion, crime, hoaxes, and delusions. The Republican Party is the party for all Americans. It's what we want to be. It's the way we want to live. We're the party of the American worker, the American family, and we are the party of the American dream.
Okay, all of that is true, and that should be the basis of his campaign. I think it will be. I think it will be. If he can stay on teleprompter and not talk too much about pencil necks he doesn't like, then I think the president should probably be okay. I'm much more optimistic about his hopes for 2020 than I was, say, 6 months ago, when it seemed like the Democrats might, in fact, get their act together and not be crazy. But now the Democrats continue to double down on crazy. We'll get to more of President Trump's 2020 line of attack in just a second. So the president then started to get into the details. He started talking about the Green New Deal. The best boon that Trump has ever received is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. AOC is the id of the Democratic Party in the same way that Trump is the id of the Republican Party. AOC and her agenda are nuts. So nuts, she didn't get a single vote in favor of a Green New Deal bill co-sponsored by 12 separate senators on the Democratic side of the aisle. Not one of the co-sponsors of the bill voted for the bill. They all voted present on their own bill. Here's President Trump going after the stupid Green New Deal. Again, this is going to be a fruitful line of attack for Republicans and for the president.
The Democrats are now advancing an extreme $100 trillion government takeover called the Green New Deal. But I'd rather not talk about it tonight because I don't want to talk them out of it too soon. Because I love campaigning against the Green New Deal. I want them to make that a big part of their platform. No more airplanes, no more cows. One car per family. One car. Oh, you're going to love that in Michigan. Hey, how do you like the idea of one car per family? I don't think so. That's right.
This is where Trump is at his best. Comedy riffing on the Democrats? Yeah, man, I'm in for it. I'm in for it. Like, really. This is good stuff. Listen to him go off on the power of windmills. The Democrats have been talking about the power of windmills for a long time, how wind power is suddenly going to power the United States. Fact. If you actually wanted to equal the amount of power that is currently being output by all of the carbon-based fuel systems in the United States, not including transportation, right, just the electrical grid, you would have to cover an area the size of California in windmills. That's what you would have to do. So good luck with that. Here's President Trump going after the windmills.
If Hillary got in, you wouldn't have that stat, I can tell you right now. You'd be doing windmills. And if it doesn't blow, you can forget about television for that night. Darling, I want to watch television. I'm sorry, the wind isn't blowing. I know a lot about wind.
Little tag. I know a lot about wind. Come on, he's so funny. If you can't laugh, then you have a heart of stone. This is one of the reasons he's president is because of this. I will say this: negative Trump is not as much fun as positive Trump, and this is true for every politician. Politicians who look like they're having a good time are more likely to win. This is true of Obama in 2008. He looked like he was having a better time than John McCain. It was true of 2012. Obama looked like he was having a better time than Mitt Romney. It was true of George W. Bush, who always looked like he was having a pretty good time. Sour Trump is not going to be supremely popular because people don't like sour people. But Trump laughing at the Democrats along with people, it's not a bad look for him. It really is not. And then President Trump goes after the Democrats for wanting to destroy people's private health insurance plans. He is not wrong about this either. Again, all he has to do is just point at the Democrats. If the American public focus on President Trump leading up to 2020, he's going to lose. If they focus on the Democrats, he will win.
The Democrats are pushing socialist, government-run health care that bans private health insurance for 180 million Americans. Now think of it. A lot of you have private plans, and they're great. They're great. And you want that. They want to take them away. That's not going to work. I don't think that's going to work too well.
Of course, all of that is true. And then Trump goes after Democrats. Here he is correct again. This is clip 12.
In recent months, the Democrat Party has also been aggressively pushing extreme late-term children to be ripped from their mother's womb right up until the moment of birth. And now we go a step further. In Virginia, the governor stated that he would even allow a newborn baby, wrap the baby up, make the baby comfortable, to be executed after birth.
Okay, again, all of this is accurate. The press will paint this as inaccurate. It is, in fact, not. They're trying to paint it as inaccurate when he went after the Green New Deal on the basis of even Democrats not supporting it. Here is Trump saying that Mazie Hirono, who is, in fact, perhaps the dumbest person in the United States Senate, which is a hell of a statement because there are a lot of dummies there. Here is President Trump suggesting that even Mazie Hirono knows that the Democratic Green New Deal is a mess.
She didn't know about the Green New Deal. And they hit her. And she's from Hawaii. What do you think of the Green New Deal? It was just put up by the Democrats. Well, I like it very much. But she never saw it. Then they said, but you can't fly anymore. And she's in Hawaii. She said, but how would I get to my island? They said, we're working on some kind of a train system. So she said, okay, well then I am for it 100%. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Okay, and this, of course, is a little bit apocryphal, but it is true that Mazie Hirono did ask some questions about how you would get rid of airplanes since she is, in fact, the senator from Hawaii. Now, what are the obstacles for President Trump leading up to 2020? Well, obstacle number one is President Trump saying stuff that is stupid, right? President Trump deciding to focus on issues that the American people aren't really focused on, or him deciding to fulminate about the Mueller report for the next couple of years, or him deciding that he is simply going to call names at the Democrats as opposed to going after their policies, which, again, is a fruitful line of attack. That could hurt him because, remember, It's not just about him getting out the base. The Republicans got out the base in 2018, and they lost by 8.6 points in the House popular vote. This is really going to be about, can President Trump convince suburban women that Democrats are too dangerous for them? He doesn't have to convince them that he is the man for suburban women. He does have to convince suburban women that voting against their own interests would be a bad idea, and that the Democrats are so radical that they'd be voting against their own interests in voting for Democrats. Obstacle number one is the president's personality. Obstacle number two is going to be the possibility of an economic downturn, and we are watching that. The economy is, in fact, slowing right now. We will see whether it slows enough to actually slide into a downturn or whether it maintains its sort of low-level growth. He can survive low-level growth. If it downturns, he's got a problem. And then obstacle number three is the possibility that there are more headlines that are bad for him in sort of the Mueller, Michael Cohen, SDNY stuff. I think that possibility has been reduced pretty dramatically. I'll explain why in just 1 second. First,
under Medicare for All, you either take private insurance away from those 170 million Americans or greatly restrict access to it, meaning there is no relief valve for physicians facing up to 40% payment cuts. This would decimate physician networks, creating a permanent physician shortage, and it would leave medical students with no hope of paying off their loans. And the cost of Medicare for All has been projected to be as high as $32 trillion. That's trillion with a T. Basically, if implemented by 2022, Medicare for All would mean that healthcare spending would take up 58% of federal spending, compared to 28% today. It's fiscally unsustainable. But to make matters worse, it would destroy Medicare for the seniors who have spent their whole life paying into it. A promise made to those who paid for it would become an entitlement for all, destroying an important program for those it was intended for. Medical innovation would take a back seat, and we would give up our status as the world's leader in medical innovation. Imagine placing every American under a system where an act of Congress is required to add benefits or to make routine changes. Healthcare is changing rapidly, and we need to have a system that is nimble to respond to it. The reason people are calling for Medicare for All is not because the ACA has worked in remedying what ails our system, because it has not. But their solution is literally to do more of what's not working. It's like the man who has a pounding headache, who then takes a hammer to his head to make it go away.